Hello everyone, it's good to be here with you and I hope you're all doing well. In this video, we finish off our trip to the Grand Tetons and continue exploring the park for photography opportunities while contending with smoke from a nearby wildfire. I then head out to Idaho for some mountain lake views and fall colors, and I even managed to sneak in some astrophotography before waking up to a beautiful sunrise. Overall, a great capper to the trip, and I hope that you enjoy. So as I mentioned, we did have to contend with wildfire smoke the last 2 days of our trip, as the Fish Creek fire had reignited just outside the park, and it kind of started flooding the valley with smoke and haze. And so this did make conditions challenging, but it also presented some unique photo opportunities as well. Now, what I like about this photo is that you have the mountains in the background appearing to emerge out of this haze layer as kind of the early morning light hits the peaks. And with the barns in the foreground, they add a sense of scale as the Tetons appear to tower over them. And they also help to evoke this sort of Old West feel. And I get this sense that, I'm kind of transported back to the 1800s. It's certainly the classic barn shot of the Tetons, but I think it works. And in addition to this pano crop, I also took this wider view, and I kind of like the added layer of turquoise grass and brush in the foreground. It also kind of gives this image a bit more depth. And I think to my eye, the pano crop works the best, but I'd be curious to hear your opinion. What image do you think works best? So for this shot, I actually spun directly behind where I was standing when taking the previous shot of the Tetons, and I saw this beautiful tree with the sun intersecting it as it rose over the ridgeline. So I grabbed my gear and I rushed over to set up and compose as the sun came more into alignment, and I really love the way that this turned out. To me, it sort of takes on this almost mystical feel, and the haze actually adds to the image and catches color from the rising sun, while the sun itself in this alignment, to me, it sort of represents almost the heart of this tree, and it gives a sense of hope and resilience during a time of destruction with the wildfire that was nearby. After the smoky morning, we packed up and continued exploring the park, and with the haze limiting our photo opportunities, we decided to focus in on fall colors while also trying to locate one of the bison herds in the park that had continued to elude us. I found a few more interesting compositions of fall color that I spent some time shooting, and then just as we were about to give up on the bison, we finally had ran into a big herd that had settled down in the plains not too far from where we were shooting. This beautiful gal caught my eye in particular, and I sat there as we exchanged glances for a few minutes, and to me, she had this very peaceful and sort of regal energy to her that really drew me in. And so I couldn't help but snap a few pictures to honor this sweet soul. With our final day in the books, I packed up and said goodbye to my friends, and I decided to plot a new course through Idaho on my way back in order to stay another night out at a mountain lake that I had heard had some great photography opportunities. And yeah, as you're about to see, it was well worth the effort. Alright, so on my way home from the Tetons, I decided to take advantage of driving back through Idaho and stop at a mountain lake spot that I know is really pretty, and you can probably see behind me, it is indeed very pretty. So I am camped out literally a couple hundred feet, maybe 200 feet away from where I am right now on this lake shore, which is pretty much exactly where I want to be shooting. So this shot, or there's a few different shots here, you can compose more wide and kind of have a reflection on the lake, but as you can see, really windy, the water is not calm, so there's no reflection to be had right now, but that could change overnight into the morning. So I'm going to try composing a wide angle shot. I'm going to also try and compose a telephoto shot and zoom in on the mountains as the first light of the day is kind of hitting the peaks. So then that way I have a couple options, but yeah, right now I'm just scouting, checking out different compositions and making sure that I'm ready in the morning for when the good light hits. So we'll see. This might be a nice little cherry on top to a great trip on my way back home from the Tetons. So I will show you guys what I'm working with on the back of the camera and kind of the shots I'm thinking of. And yeah, time to get to work. So playing with something like this shot, I think this could work in the morning if the water calms down and is glass and we get a nice reflection of these peaks, which these are going to light up in the morning and catch a lot of nice warm alpine glow. But a couple things I don't necessarily like about this shot. The grasses right here are kind of dead. We're at the end of season, so they're a bit brown and yellow. It's not the most ideal. And obviously we got someone camped over here, which takes a little bit away from the ambiance. Maybe they'll be gone either later tonight or this morning, we'll see. So yeah, I mean, and then this shot is just totally dependent on the water turning into glass and just calming down in the morning. So I'm really hoping that the winds die down a bit and we get an opportunity for something like this shot in the morning. This is shooting with wide angle lens, 16 to 35 millimeters. And so this would be kind of the widest view I would go for. So this is another shot that really hinges on some calm waters, but this would be another option, maybe option B. And then also we could move the camera over a bit, maybe even zoom out, and something like this. A little bit wider shot that also incorporates the mountain ranges over here. These will light up as well, and this might even be a better shot, but I really like the distinctiveness of this range. It's just, again, kind of bad lighting right now, so it's probably not coming through great in the video, but you'll see in the morning when we get some better conditions. So this, again, would be a great shot. Nice reflection here, beautiful light on the peaks, and at this point we're just gonna have to see what the morning brings us. All right, and this is option C. So this means all else has failed, the water's not calm, and what I've done is just put on the 70 to 200 and zoomed way in on what I feel is the most interesting set of peaks or kind of range. And these will, again, catch light and glow in the morning. What I'll probably do, so this is obviously a little bit of a funky composition, I'll shoot it more like a pano, maybe something like this, and then kind of crop in, where I'll crop the water out of the image and maybe a bit of the sky, because at least right now, the forecast does not have clouds. If there's clouds, maybe something like this works. So we'll just have to see how things shape up in the morning. But we got 3 options, and I think at least one of them should work. After a good evening of scouting the lake, I had the compositions I wanted in mind, and so I set up camp and waited for nightfall as the conditions were shaping up to be perfect for astrophotography. And of course, I knew I was going to have to wake up early, but I couldn't help myself but burn the candle at both ends. Who needs sleep when the dreamscape's already right in front of you? Now for this shot, I was trying to run a couple-minute exposure for the foreground in order to bring out more detail in the mountains without all the noise. However, my intervalometer was giving me issues, and I didn't end up getting the longer exposure. So this is all one shot, and even with that being the case, I still feel like it came out reasonably well. The dynamic range on most cameras these days is really good, and in combination with good denoising software, the darker foreground here actually cleaned up pretty well. I just couldn't push the shadows as much as I would have liked to show off more of the mountains, but overall I'm happy with this image, and honestly just the process of being out under the stars and shooting a scene like this is a treat in its own right. everyone. It is absolutely chilly out. I have like 8 jackets on right now, and I'm trying to sit in the sun here to warm up a bit, but what a beautiful morning. Got exactly the conditions that I was hoping for. The water was just glass smooth and beautiful light hitting the mountains, a little bit of color early in the morning, and yeah, what a beautiful just capper to this trip. Even got some astrophotography in. It was just perfect conditions for that as well. So couldn't have asked for a better last day here to this trip. And Grand Tetons were amazing. This spot in Idaho is amazing. And I hope you guys had a great time following along. And if you enjoyed the video, consider leaving a like or a comment. And if you enjoy my content in general, consider subscribing as well. And yeah, I hope to be back on another adventure with you all real soon. Thanks for watching, everyone. Take care.
The kids are running around, climbing the trees, picking the flowers and chasing the bees. Living off bread and homemade wine is gonna be fine by me. We've been staying inside for quite some time, living on the edges of a world gone by. We lost Bill Withers and we lost John Prine, picking up the pieces of a world gone by. In a world gone by, in a world gone by, picking up the pieces and staring at a ceiling of a clear blue sky. In a world gone by, in a world gone by, looking at the evidence, running out of medicine. Everybody's crying and it's leaving us dry.